25th, 2021, Austintown Township Trustee meeting. On order. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Crano?
Here.
Mr. Kent?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Introduction, we have Chief Bob Cavalier here, Road Superintendent, Administrator Mike Dockery, Jim Henshaw, Senior Center. We got Todd Schaefer, Parks Supervisor, Darren Cavelli, Zoning Inspector, and Chief Andy Frost, Fire Department. To my right, Trustee Ken Carano. To my left, Jim Davis. To my far left, Laura Wolf, our Fiscal Officer, and I am Steve Kent, Trustee. Motion to approve minutes of the regular meeting, reorganization meeting of January 11th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Administrator report, Mike?
Nothing as far as Administrator Road Department report, but I do want to refer you to new business. You have two motions there. Those are the first one is the annual motion that we're required to do for our dispatch cog with Boardman and Mahoney County. The second one is a motion that we have to approve, and it involves the additional $110,500 that the Mahoney County Commissioners have come up with this year for both ourselves and Boardman as far as funding the COG. So, I'd like to take this time to thank the Commissioners for that additional money. But those are what A and B under new business are about.
All right. Chief Cavalier?
Nothing to add to report, just bringing your attention, it's probably not a big surprise, but Lieutenant Collins did our use of force analysis for last year, and our arrests were down by 400 some people were down, so it's, not a surprise with the year it was with the COVID and stuff, everybody staying home.
Bad guys are staying inside.
Stay out of trouble.
Very good. You want to bring?
Yeah, I'll get it, Chief.
Chief, are you taking applications for police officers? I had some people call me.
Yes, we are. Another thing, I'm glad you brought that up. Since the last meeting, we've probably gotten at least 15, 20 applications since it was in the paper and that, so yes, we still are accepting them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
How are you?
Chief Frost is tied up, doing pretty well. Whatever the board's on the agenda.
Good.
Anything new? Oh.
We'll go right to zoning. You
Yeah.
have a motion here.
Yeah, you got a motion to determine the below properties constitute a public nuisance pursuant to ORC code 505.87. 5 North Beverly Avenue, OB partial number 48-011-0-032.00. Use discarded living room, couch, and chair stored in the curb for over 2 weeks must be removed in disregarded property. 528 Impala Drive, partial number 48-009-0-225.000. Large pile of branches, logs, tree limbs stored on a vacant parcel that must be removed. And 3376 Sandalwood Court, partial number 48-003-0-049.00. A broken hanging limb, placing property and life at risk along the north side of the garage must be removed. Motion?
So moved. Second?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
There's
No junk and debris, no junk vehicles? All right. Anything else?
Just want to advise the board, for the month of February, I'm going to have zoning hearings with the Board of Appeals, probably each week. Some of the cases on the agenda may create interest among supporters or opponents. And I, once again, just want to remind the board, if anyone inquires to the board about a particular appeal case, just refer them back to me. Please don't make any comments for or against, or just advise it's really the jurisdiction of the Board of Appeals, and just refer everything back to zoning. And, you know, I just want to ensure due process that everybody has a fair say at the hearing. So that's just my heads up to the board.
When the appeals board meets, when does it come to us?
It doesn't. The appeals board deals with variances, conditional uses, and anyone who wants to challenge my interpretation of the zoning ordinance. The only jurisdiction that the board has over the Board of Appeals is the appointment of myself and the appointment of the board members. Beyond that, and same thing with the zoning commission, you have power of appointment over the zoning commission. You have power of amendment of the actual zoning ordinance. And as we do the zoning changes, you guys amend the map where you feel it's appropriate. But beyond that, and as I tell you guys, like when we had the Chick-fil-A, please don't make any comments prior to the hearing. But it's the same thing. I have some cases that I think will create some interest, and I just want the board to just forward that interest back to zoning so that you guys can kind of stay on the side and let the Board of Appeals deal with the issues that fall under their jurisdiction.
Since you mentioned Chick-fil-A, how's that going?
I haven't heard anything since the night of the hearing. Obviously, they told us they wanted to have the property acquired in January. I actually looked today, and the auditor's website doesn't show a change of ownership. But as the project architect or project engineer told us, they were looking at January acquisition and then potential August start. In a prior meeting with her, she said Chick-fil-A's calendar for construction is April and August. And she just didn't see this happening in April. So I think they were shooting for an August start. And they'll be open like January, February of next year.
Aren't they still looking to purchase more property there?
No, they have more than enough property. If you guys recall, when you did the zone change, you only did it on the back half of the Delisio property.
Right.
But the property to the east, which would be, and Delisio was only one lot. The other two lots are the Machorda property, the old county gardens. They have more than enough property. What they advised us is they're planning off the west half of that property for Chick-fil-A. Then they felt they had a user for the east half. They wouldn't disclose who that was, other than it's a use that they believe meets our business B2 district regulations. What that is, I don't know. It's obviously some sort of retail, and clearly it won't be a restaurant. I mean, that's a given. So we don't know what that is, but the stormwater drawings that they submitted has the drainage for all three parcels. So their design, Chick-fil-A is designing for that easterly lot. And then, which is good, it'll all go in, the retention at least will all go in at once, which is probably better than it being two separate smaller projects. So.
Anything from Myers?
No, I haven't heard anything, but as I tell people, there's no for sale sign on that property. So if they're gonna back out, they're gonna put a for sale sign on that property. And in talking to, I think his name is Justin Rance, he represents one of the local skilled trade unions. And he's been telling me the last 2 or 3 years that they have a gentleman's agreement with Myers. And his people were out in Boardman. And what he told me is that Myers General Contractor is going somewhere else after Boardman. And then supposedly they're coming here. So maybe late next year we'll see it. The interesting thing is, Steve, or Mr. Kent, we approved this in 2016. I think the trustees did a zone change in August, and the Board of Appeals approved a conditional use in October of 2016. And what Myers told us was, this is a new region. Their closest store was in Canton, but that's not part of our region. And they didn't want the Austintown store sitting out here on its own by itself. They wanted 4 or 5 stores. So since then, they opened a store in Stowe. There's one under construction north of Stowe. There's Boardman, and then there was another one. So they're filling this region that we're in. So instead of maybe being the first store, maybe we'll be the 5th or 6th store. But they haven't given us any indication that they're pulling out. I did talk to the project engineer, Lonnie from Wolfburg. They're in Dayton, and they haven't been given direction to move forward with the stormwater plans. The only thing they have left for our site is the stormwater and the SWIP. And that's just a matter of engineering. The site's been approved, the Board of Appeals approved the site, you guys approved the zone change with specific buffering. So I'm optimistic that will happen. It's just that we have to meet Meyer's timeframe. And like I said, if there's no for sale sign on that property, and I don't know what the purchase price is, because if you go to the auditor's website, it's just not there. But I can tell you, they probably spend anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 just on demolition, maybe even more. They had to demo that school in 2 phases. They went into first phase and removed asbestos, then demoed. Then they had to go in for a second phase of asbestos removal. That was a substantial demolition project. Probably took them 3 or 4 months. So you figure they have $3 to $3.5 million into that site. And if there's no for sale sign, you know, I think they're coming, but.
Okay. Just see. Thank
All
you.
right, all right, guys.
See if Amy's ready, if not, send Todd in.
Don't we have one more motion under
No. There's nothing there.
approved minutes?
Apologies.
You don't have a number 3?
Oh, yeah, number 3.
Yeah, number 3. While we're waiting. Motion to approve the minutes of the public hearing for final determination of amendment 2020-04-Z-Bergman.
So moved. Second?
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Chief?
How are we doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Yeah?
Uh,
Anything new?
No, the only thing I have is, we have moved our temporary station out of the senior center, and I just want to thank Jim and Charlotte and his people. They've bent over backwards to make that work for us. And I just want to let you guys know how much I appreciate what they did and what you did for us there, so thank you.
Sure. Absolutely. All right.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right?
You want to get us the information for next week too? Those 2 guys?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, we'll definitely get it done.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Who do you want next?
Todd, please.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Great. Anything new?
Nothing new, we just have a week and a half to go with the Christmas trees yet. So if your Christmas tree is still up, you still bring it out to the park.
If it's still,
I don't think they should be up by now,
Right.
but if they are, you still bring them out to the park until the 31st. And just follow the signs, it'll take you over to the recycling bins, and we have a pile there.
very good.
Outside of that, that's all I have. I completed inventory and the year-end report. That's all I have for this week.
Good.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Todd.
Want to send in Mr. Jim?
Yes, well,
There he is.
There I am.
How are you, sir?
I am well.
What's new?
Well,
What you got good for us?
first off, I have to highly commend Ryan Tekak and his group over at Mahoney County Board of Health. As you know, they've taken over the senior center and are delivering the COVID shots at the senior center. And I've seen the things on TV and that, oh, 5-hour wait, 30 minutes max, in, out. It works like unbelievable clockwork. Couple things, I think, since we're being recorded, the public needs to know these things, is you have to have an appointment to get your injection. The way you get it is you either call the Mahoney County Board of Health number, which is 330-270-2855, option number 9, or you can do it online by going to mahoneyhealth.org. There's a big green box that says COVID registration. Click on that, answer the questions, and you're registered. Now, I've been getting a lot of phone calls over there during the day because people say, well, they haven't called me. Well, they set up a pecking order based on age, time when you called, you know, first come, first served, things like that. So they will call you when your time comes. And you'll have an appointment. My advice to you is if you have an appointment that says 2:30 in the afternoon, be there at 2:30. Don't be there at 2 o'clock because they'll make you sit in your car in the parking lot because they can't crowd into the building. So be right on time for your appointment and it'll go boom, boom, boom. You'll be back out of there within 30 minutes. In fact, actually longer, shorter than 30 minutes because 15 minutes is for the mandatory waiting time. But the whole operation is just unbelievable. We came in Saturday, set up their call center over in the old on-demand area. So they're going to be doing all their phone calls from over in the on-demand area as well. But I just can't get over how efficient this is operation because they're working
Great.
And also be aware of the fact that, you know, they can only schedule what they have enough injections for. So if you have a time and you have a date, there's one there for you.
Okay. Awesome.
But be patient. When you call the number to get registered or you go online to get registered, they will call you back at some point, but don't expect it within the next couple hours. It comes up, it takes a while to get there. But that's most calls I get is, they haven't called me yet. Well, that's because. Outside of that, everything's going fine.
We get those phone calls too, especially when they announced it was Austintown before they gave any instructions. It was kind of crazy. But we're now at the 75 and older week, and next week theoretically is supposed to start at 65.
Right.
And that's what, but you still can register now.
Yeah. Yeah, get yourself on the queue. Register as soon as you can. You'll be on the queue, and when your time comes, they will give you a call and set you up your time to be there. And be there on time. That's all I really have to say.
Awesome. Great job.
Oh,
Well, we gotta thank you guys too. You've been keeping that place healthy.
it's more than healthy right now.
But thank you so very much.
Laura?
I just have my reports today. I'm working on the year and stuff.
Motion to approve the December report submitted to the board at the January 11th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Carano?
Yes.
New business. Motion to approve budget of the Austintown Boardman Mahoney County Joint Communication District.
So moved?
And seconded?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Carano?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes. B, motion to approve additional distributions from the COG to Austintown and Boardman, see attached.
So moved?
And seconded?
Mr. Carano?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
This time we're gonna have public response. Does anybody in the house want to talk on camera or off camera? On camera?
Yeah,
Okay.
You want to come up, state your name and your address for us?
yes, I'm Troy Rhodes from Ohio Edison, 539 Canfield, Ohio. I just wanted to come in, reintroduce myself to the township. Many of you get my email notes throughout the year as far as what's going on with Ohio Edison and such like that. So just want to come out, do a little bit of face-to-face when we can with what's going on right now. As far as Ohio Edison right now, as far as what's going on for 2021, we're going to be going through transmission and distribution vegetation maintenance throughout the Mahoning Valley. Fortunately or unfortunately, right now there's nothing scheduled in Austin Township for that. But if there are any issues that you are having with forestry or streetlight issues like that, Troy Rhodes is the person you speak to about that, regarding that. Other than that, I just wanted to say hello and welcome to the new year. So,
Thanks, Troy.
any questions?
I just welcome you here, and I'll say this because I'm the oldest guy around here. The fact is, I have worked with any number of people down there, but there's nobody that is more efficient and always ready to take your phone calls and help you out as Troy. So
Thank you very much.
Troy's a friend from the past. A
Oh,
brother from the past.
Brother from the past.
All right.
A brother from the past.
Yep, so anyway, I'm always here for you, just down the street, so anything you need, give me a call.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else? On camera, off camera? All right. Remarks from the board. Mr. Crana?
My pleasure. As soon as I get my sheet out here. First, if I could continue just on that vaccine situation, I'd like to announce this because I went through it, so I'd like the people to understand what's going on. The Mahoning County vaccine, their system is in our senior center. You operate, and as Jim told you, you call the telephone number or you go online and register. But there are other places that you could go. There's Mercy Health, especially if you are a patient for a Mercy Health doctor. You have this thing called My Chart. And on it, you could get on it and set up a schedule for either Belmont or North Lima Mercy Center, and you could do that. But once again, this week is for 75 and older, okay? You could still go in and try to register, but they won't issue you anything until they get to your time. There's also Giant Eagle. Now, I can tell you this, Giant Eagle is full. All the ones around here, if you get on, they'll tell you the closest place is 15 miles away. Sometimes 15 miles isn't that far to be able to get it. But Giant Eagle is doing it also. I understand pretty soon we may get some of the drugstores to be doing it. But the fact of the matter is, as far as I can see in my research, there have been very few people that have any kind of negativity to that vaccine, except a sore arm and maybe a little pressure, high pressure, and heat a little bit overnight. But other than that, it's good. And while you are there, they book you for the second one. And the thing is that it protects you, it protects everybody around you. But folks, that doesn't mean to take off your masks, because people still can carry it. So you have to watch yourself. I have to say something about some of the companies in Austintown. We have some great people. I had an accident in my house, and my insurance company is Travelers, and they do an outstanding job for me, but they give you the option. It's not like the old days where you had to go to 5 different places and so on, but you could go here. Well, it happened with my car and my house, and Superior Auto did a fantastic job on my house, and Zinn's Restoration, which is in Austintown, did an outstanding job in the house. I know there's other places in Austintown that are doing them. My point is, I'd like to give the business to people that are in our area, so I thank them. Let's talk a second about the mail. It is a real pain. It happened through the political years and that sort of thing, but it also is because Cleveland had, at one time had 6 different areas that they would work in. They shut down 3 of them. And what that is doing to us is all the mail that leaves Youngstown has to go to Cleveland before it comes back here. There was a little article on the news, the TV news. And it's happened to me any number of times now. My checks don't get to the people that I'm sending them to until they're late. And if you don't call them, they charge you a late fee. You have to call them. They'll understand because it is nationwide that this is happening. So may I suggest to all of you, watch yourself. When you go to send out a check, you better make sure that check has been sent and your company has gotten it at the right time. If not, talk to them because they'll stop it. My last thing is a sad note. A young man, a lot of our people are dying and for one reason or another. But there's a young man who died this last week here in Austintown, and his name is James Burney. Everyone that I know that knows this man has everything but has the most highest praise for him because he was such a nice gentleman. But my point of bringing him up today is he was ready at any time to come and help out, whether it was township business or school business. He was a very appropriate member of our board of the Austintown Television, that's called Falcon Media now. And he worked with us so beautifully. Maybe it's because of the 50 years that he served in radio and TV. But to his family and his son, who was a student of mine, who is now an officer in the Austintown schools, our deepest sympathy, and may I have a moment of silence in his name. Look over us, Jim. That's it.
Mr. Davis?
I just quickly wanted to talk a little bit about what Jim Henshaw was speaking about with the Board of Health and using our senior center. This past week, I got to be a part of a Zoom call with Ryan Tekak from the Board of Health. And one of the first things I want to say is that I want to commend Ryan and his staff, but most importantly, just mention Ryan's accessibility has been phenomenal. There's not been a time that I haven't reached out to Mr. Tekak and in calling him, either gotten a text message back that said, hey, can I call you tomorrow? Or he's gotten right back to me. And so with everything that has been going on, he, as busy as he has made it a point to reach out to the local elected officials and be a part of these Zoom meetings where he has interacted with all of us and made sure that we are continually updated as to what's going on through the Mahoning County Board of Health and the coronavirus here in Mahoning County. So a couple of quick things I just wanted to touch on. First of all is, I've looked at the news and have been paying attention and seeing what's going on in other counties and in other states. And I've got to tell you, just from witnessing what they've had in our neighboring counties compared to what we've got here, his staff should be commended for what they've done. Everybody that I've talked to, and they somehow seem to think that Austintown's Board of Trustees have some involvement in this, that they're calling us, praising us for how fast they're getting through this process. And as much as I'd like to take credit for that, this really is an effort of Ryan Tekak and the Board of Health. But they are literally getting people, as you heard Jim say, through in about 25 to 30 minutes tops. From the time you walk through the door, you have a 15-minute wait period at the end, and then they send you out the door. So it has been just phenomenal how things have gone on. In speaking with Ryan in that meeting, we noticed that there were some needs over there, and we were able to address those and help them out with the Board of Health. And we're excited to know that everything has been kept here on a campus in Austintown. And I always say it's nice to have it in your own hometown, because then at least we can keep a good eye on them and know what's happening. But But just kudos to Mahoney County's Board of Health. I can't say enough of how seamless this process has been. You know, when you look at doing something and you go, well, how did they do it the last time? There was no last time to look back on. There was no past practice to look back on. This has been something that Ryan and his staff, Ryan just took that job and was immediately thrown into a pandemic. It was funny, as we finished our call the other night, Ken and I were talking with Ryan on the call as he was with everybody else, and he had his wife there making calls to schedule people because they had more doses come in of the vaccine than what they had anticipated. So they wanted to make sure that that there were none wasted, and so they had to make phone calls. So not only, he's got his wife working there, he's got relatives, friends, they're calling in looking for volunteers. So there are ways for you to volunteer. I've spoken with our Junior Women's League president, Peggy Bennett. They're going to get some of the women involved, but if there are people at home that would like to be involved, you can contact the Mahoney County Board of Health or go on their website. No, it doesn't get you bumped up further, closer in the line to get your vaccination, but they would appreciate your help in going over there. Now, what I will tell you though is if you are volunteering over there and by chance somebody cancels and they have an extra vaccine, Ryan has said that before he throws it in a trash can, he is going to make sure that he contacts either the local law enforcement, somebody that is there. Our senior center staff has been vaccinated because they had an extra vaccine or two, so they've given those guys those shots because, once again, Ryan feels it's important that he rather answer as to why somebody who maybe was in an age group that was not in the 80 or older age group got it, as opposed to answering, well, why did you throw a vaccine away? So, but if you would like to volunteer, contact the Board of Health, or you can go right to the Mahoney County Board of Health website, and they have a place for you to register.
Repeat that again, because they should not go to the senior center.
Yes, do not go to the senior center just to show up to volunteer, please. Make sure, once again, you contact the Board of Health. You can go through their website. There are links on there that you can do that, as well as contacting the Board of Health, because there is a form that you need to fill out to be approved to work as a volunteer there, because once again, they just don't want anybody volunteering. So we want to make sure that we've got the proper people in place. And that could be anything from just being a traffic flow director, telling people, go here, or even picking up the phone calls and scheduling people when there's cancellations, or scheduling people when there's more vaccinations coming in. So just hats off to the Board of Health, and glad to hear everything's running smoothly over there. And just waiting for this, waiting for everybody to have their shot so that we can have more than 3 chairs out here and have some people back to our meetings.
Absolutely.
And so we can go jump out of a plane again, Aaron.
Thank you for that.
There's no call.
I just got a couple announcements. Coach Brian Beanie with the Austintown Pitch Basketball achieved his 100th win last year. And then Todd Simon, he achieved his 1,000-point career at Austintown Pitch in basketball. And over the weekend, we had the Josh Hefner. Congrats to John Bird and staff. They came in 2nd overall. And Colin Roberts, he was back-to-back champion and MVP of the tournament. So congratulations to all of them. That's all I have myself. So a motion to recess to excessive executive session for the following: to consider appointment, employment, discipline, and comprehension of public employees.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Thank you. Yes.
Chief?
in association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.